Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Webinar Wednesday. My name is Brandon Lilly, Senior Brand Director for Marketing 360 here in beautiful Fort Collins, Colorado. Today, we're going to be talking about e-commerce marketing and specifically how to get your products found. Now, if you want to follow along with this presentation, either live or afterwards, you can get a hold of this deck, and we do have some links in it, so I highly encourage that you do so. You can get this at m360.us/763b. Again, that's m360.us/763b. Now let's go ahead and move on. We're going to talk real quickly about our goals here. First thing first, how do you get your products served, right? How do you get the feed optimized to the point where the products are actually showing up when people are searching for you? And for most of this conversation, we're going to be talking specifically about Google. Other platforms like Facebook and Facebook's catalog, things like that, they'll have some different requirements. But for the most part, we're going to be discussing Google here. If you do have questions while we go through this, please feel free to chat us. We'll be sure to answer those live. And if you have questions afterwards, we'll be sure to get back to you. Next thing after you get your product served is we want to get your product clicked on. We'll talk about some different ways that we can boost the click-through rate with merchant promos, reviews, things like that. And then finally, how do you actually sell the product? You just paid the money to have someone click and come to your site. What can you do to optimize your conversion rate and really create good convertible product pages? All right, let's go ahead and move on. So first things first, we're going to talk about how shopping ads are actually served. Now, the primary thing here that Google is looking at is the relevancy. What's the relevancy of the product and the keyword or the search term that people are looking for? Now, when you're creating product ads, especially in Google, unlike traditional ads within that platform, you can't set specific keyword targeting. So you can't say, I have a brown leather handbag and my keyword for this is brown leather handbag. That's not really how that works. So what Google looks for is the relevancy of the product based on the relevancy of the search. Because we all know brown leather handbag or pink shoes or men's sneakers or anything like that can mean a wide variety of things. So Google tries to identify what could you mean based on your search, and the relevancy of the product that it serves is based on how it believes that it really ranks with that specific search term. So the first thing that it really looks for is the title and the description. The title and the description of your actual product is incredibly important because that's essentially the keyword, right? So if you are selling a brown leather handbag and nowhere in that title or description do you explicitly say brown leather handbag, the likelihood of Google identifying you as being relevant to that specific search term is incredibly low. So that's something you really want to pay attention to. Now, a lot of companies want to get a little bit fancy with their names, and this is the Fort Collins bag, this is the Denver bag, this is the Colorado bag, something like that. Unless someone's explicitly looking for that, you're not going to show up that way. So there are a couple of different ways that you can get kind of creative with how products show the name of your product on your website, so you can maintain that nomenclature and that branding or naming structure you have while still forcing a feed or showing a feed to Google that actually uses the keywords. But that's pretty advanced. If you do have questions about that, let us know. We've got some blog topics on that. Just think about it like this. If you're going to be naming a product and giving a description for the product, how would you search for it? If it's a brown leather handbag, it better say in the title that it's a brown leather handbag. Now, next to this, Google is also going to be looking at the assigned product category. Now, there's 21 top-level categories that Google uses, home and garden, apparel, accessories, things like that. So it looks at that really carefully. So you want to make sure that your product is listed in the most specific and accurate category it can be. Now, you can choose other categories as a part of that. That's just your top level, 21 different categories to choose from. Almost all of those categories have their own sub-level, and some even go down 2 or 3 different levels there. So you can narrow this and focus this as much as you can or as much as you want. Let's say, for example, the product is a brown leather handbag, but maybe it's more of a satchel. This is more geared towards a masculine purchase versus a feminine purchase there. There may be a different category you want to steer that towards versus somewhere else. Maybe this particular leather handbag is like a raw leather and it's more of a workman's tool or something like that. Home and garden might be a better spot for it than apparel. So you want to consider where you're placing these in the Google product category, because Google looks at that to identify what your product is and learn about it. Third to that is it's going to look for your unique product identifiers. Now, this is the brand name, MPN, such as the manufacturer part number, the GTIN, which I believe is a global trade index number, something like that. Different things, UPC codes, things like that. It's looking for what actually identifies the product. If this is something that other people sell, or it's a product that has a brand that people search for and things like that, this is how you identify, or how you help Google identify where and what this product is and when to show it. So you want to make sure that you have as much information and as many details as possible. You can't have too much information. The more info you've got, the more likely Google is able to understand and increase your relevancy score for different searches. Now, on top of the actual optimization of this feed, Google also looks at bid optimizations and click-through rates and things like that. If you have a product that has a really, really low click-through rate, Google assumes that it's just not a product that people like, or the algorithm assumes that it's placing it in for the wrong keywords. It's showing up for the wrong stuff. So the higher a click-through rate that you have, the more likely Google is to show that product again. Now, really, at the end of the day, we're all Google's customers. So they want to ensure that even us as marketers or business owners, that we are providing the best opportunity and the best experience to Google's customers. They don't want someone to go and they search for pink shoes, can't find what they're looking for, and God forbid they try another search engine, or they go somewhere else, or they just have a bad experience. So based on click-through rate and based on how people are interacting with your ad, that also influences your relevancy. That being said, when you're first getting started, you don't have a click-through rate. So you do kind of have to work your way through there. You start at the bottom and work your way up. It's a ramp-up process. And I tell this to clients and people that I work with all the time. You can't just set up, shopping ads or really digital ads of any kind and expect that they're going to run and work at their top tier. Just like accelerating a car, just like a plane going down the runway, it takes time. And it takes energy, it takes that distance for you to get to where you need to go. A plane does not start going at its maximum speed. So you've got to run down the runway with these ads as well. Now, you do have some opportunities to boost your click-through rate. That's with merchant promotions and product reviews. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Different things that you can do to increase your click-through rate. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide here. You see here we've got leather handbags. Now, if you're looking at this, you can definitely see that there's a bunch of different types, right? Some are clearly more of a handbag. Some are more of maybe that over-the-shoulder kind of satchel style. We've got one right there. I think it says "Made in Oregon" up at the top. It's from Etsy, and obviously that's got a very different type of image on it, so it stands out a little bit more. We've got the 6 and the ninth one in, I think 11th one in. We've got a picture of a woman actually holding the bag also, so you've got a little bit of differentiation there. You can feel free to let your brand and creativity stand out, but there are some restrictions here, so keep this in mind. You do want to make sure that your product stands out, but you also don't want to stand out too much, right? Or you don't want to try to get too creative and you find that you're just not getting the interaction that you want. So you may say, well, I want to show up a little bit differently. I want to, I want to look different or something like that. I always recommend for people to let the product really stand for itself, really showcase itself. We can look down here at number 9. It's got a bit of a grayer background. The bag kind of just blends into it. Sure, it's different, but the eye is not drawn there. Even the one directly next to it, again, we're down at the third row, number 10. The background, it's not bright white. The bag blends in a little bit. It's different, sure, but is it really letting the brand stand out or letting the product speak for itself? I highly recommend that that's something that you do. You don't want to have shadows. You don't want to be taking pictures of something where it's just like a white sheet in the background or anything like that. You want to stand out, and you want to ensure that you're showcasing the product and letting the product speak for itself. Now, we can also take a look here, and you see under some of these bags, we've got stars below them. Now, those different stars are part of the rating process. Generally speaking, clients are a lot more, or customers are a lot more interested in working with products and working with businesses that have reviews. So it's extremely, extremely important that you do that, and then you use those as review extensions on your product ads. Let's go ahead and jump down here a little bit more. Critical for the success, we talked about the images a little bit. High quality images are just paramount. They're critical for you getting where you want to be and accomplishing what you need to accomplish, right? If you've got bad product imagery, if you've got something, even to an extent, taking pictures with the iPhone doesn't always get you where you need to go, or other phones you may be using. Even sometimes you've gone out and you bought a really expensive camera, like a Canon or a Sony or something like that. If you don't know how to use it, you can't get good product imagery. Now, you can pay people to do this. Marketing 360 does plenty of product photography. In fact, I believe that's an image that we did there. So you get the good lighting, you get it cleaned up a little bit. Those are things to consider. If you have high ticket or critical items that you're trying to sell, they've got great margins, I would highly recommend that you invest in taking great quality pictures of them. Don't just rely on a picture that would, it would fly on eBay or something like that, or Facebook Marketplace, because that's not really going to get you where you need to go. And especially in the beginning, you need your click-through rate to go up, because that's a key factor in your relevancy score. Now, other things to consider, and this will impact your ability to run a feed and to run on Google, is shopping requirements on the website. Google does have requirements for what your website does, the features you've got on there, the security that you're using, things like that. They're gonna want to make sure you've got all that as well, because again, Google wants to make sure that you're having that their customer is having a great experience even with your site, even as they've gone there. So first and foremost, you have to make sure that you have a dedicated SSL. Don't use a shared SSL. They're cheaper, but then that really limits your tracking. And tracking for retargeting ads and for optimizing your marketing is really critical. So spend $100 a year, get a dedicated SSL, use that. You'll thank me later. Also, now that Google Chrome is specifically identifying sites that are using SSL and they're secure versus sites that are not, there is an SEO or an organic ranking component to this outside of just your products. If you have a secure website, that is a relevancy or a ranking signal for Google to rank your site higher organically. And if you're wanting to take credit cards or you're wanting to sell your products or anything like that, don't just rely on the actual checkout system being secure. Secure your whole site. Second, you've got to have an accessible, clearly defined returns and refund policy. You have to have an accessible and, again, clearly defined privacy policy. You have to have your contact information, and this includes a phone number and an email. I know a lot of businesses, especially e-com businesses, like to ignore one or both of those. They'll just have a form, or they won't have their phone number because maybe this is something that you're doing part-time or at nights and weekends, things like that. You need to have a number on there. People need to be able to reach you, and customers are looking for it. It's not just something that Google requires, but it's going to help optimize your site as well. And it's going to just provide a better experience. If you need to set up use Google Voice for a phone number, you can take messages or you can kind of filter calls if you need to. There's plenty of companies out there that will answer the phone for you, take messages, $30, $60, $100 a month for your volume, whatever. Really important that you have a phone number on there. Tax and shipping info, you've got to have that as well. And with all of the new e-com tax settings and the tax laws that are coming out, don't just rely on what you're reading on Google or what you're finding on social media and things like that. Be sure that you are aware of the taxes that you are responsible for. You may have to educate yourself. You might have to connect with an accountant or a bookkeeper or something, a CPA, somebody that may have some of those details for you. Some e-com platforms do provide this kind of information automatically, and they just handle it. But for other people that are using like custom-built sites, things like that, you need to ensure that you've got your tax and your shipping set up both on your website and within Google's feed, so that Google knows when it needs to charge tax and shipping and all that as well, or when it needs to feature that. So make sure all that information's there. And of course, the product data specifications. So you can't run a feed that doesn't have any images. It's not going to run. You can't run a feed that's missing key points of information or anything like that. So you just have to have all that kind of stuff. That can take time. It can take energy. It can take a lot of effort, but it can absolutely pay dividends, especially as that, the plane's going down the runway. You're getting better click-through rate, better relevancy. You just start selling a lot more. Let's move on to our next subject here. We're going to talk about how to properly optimize the products a little bit more. The title of the product should be applicable, or include everything that's applicable. So it doesn't just need to say brown leather handbags. It should be Marketing 360 brown leather handbag. See, we've got the style, the color, the material there. Or maybe it would be a men's leather satchel, different things like that. You can also start to use some keyword researched terms or different keywords that you've looked for. Maybe handbag isn't the right word. Maybe there's a different search term that's used for it. Maybe a shoulder bag, maybe laptop bag, laptop case, something like that. So you can also use your keywords kind of within the title. Don't stuff the title with keywords. It just looks ridiculous. But you do want to make sure that the title of the product includes the applicable items, because that helps Google understand what it is, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to reach, and what your customer really is looking for. You don't really need to have like promotions or offers or coupons within the title of the product. Sometimes it could make sense, especially if it's like a blowout. You would do Marketing 360 men's brown leather handbag, 50% off, clearance, special promotion, sale, Black Friday sale. You could do that if you wanted to. That can get a little overwhelming if you have a lot of products, but it could be something that's useful for you. And we also do have a link down here that was provided by eCommerce. Thank you guys. Tips for writing great product descriptions. So if you are following along on this slide, again, you can access this slide at m360.us/763b. That's a clickable link for you there. You can go and get some tips on how to write product descriptions that are highly optimized and will help you rank also. We're going to keep moving on how to properly optimize the product. Product reviews. We had talked about this a little bit in the beginning. It's incredibly important for several reasons. The biggest one, in all honesty, is that 70% of searchers are looking for referral or feedback on their purchase. Now, we've seen this across the board, not just with products, but with a company, a business of any kind. The more positive reviews that you have, the better off you are. In fact, I think there's a statistic out there that says only, I think it's 3% of people don't do any type of review research, and they don't read any kind of reviews before they purchase something. So if you're counting on 3% of customers finding you, looking for you, discovering your product and buying, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And also, reviews can help improve your organic ranking, which is just incredibly valuable. You want your products to show organically. They don't always even have to show up in the product feed, but the product page and the website itself can show up organically for searches. And if you've got reviews, you'll see the little stars over there, as long as you've got the meta descriptions the way they need to be. And also, whenever reviews are being added to a page or they're added to a product, it helps kind of keep that page active so that Google continues and Bing and anybody, they continue to crawl it and they continue to rank that site. Now, additionally, we've got keyword-rich title tags and the meta descriptions. So each platform kind of differs on what they're looking for, how it's implemented, something like that. Facebook's going to want something different than Google versus, if you're doing Amazon or anything like that. They all need different things. Each product needs a unique title tag. Each product needs a unique meta description, and they all need to be easily read and keyword-rich URLs. And we've got an example down here, madwireshop.com/madswag/madwire tech fleece Madwire logo size small, right? Versus the one below it, which is t-shirt -SHEJ63. Not useful. Now we can know just by glancing at this top one that we're looking at a tech, probably company, product, maybe more of a technical style. It's a fleece. It's got a logo on it. The size is small. So we know. That also means that Google knows. So you want to make sure that your URLs and the actual pages for your products are optimized and have highly optimized URLs. That's going to be really powerful for you, not just from shopping feed, but also organically. It's absolutely something you need to consider. And it does take a little bit of time, a little energy. Some e-commerce platforms don't really offer that functionality out of the box, so you have to get a little creative with it. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to us. Hit us up on any social media channel, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us again on YouTube, Marketing 360, or just go to marketing360.com. Reach out to us there. We're happy to answer questions as well. Let's move on. We talked about the product page a little bit, about optimizing the title tag and the meta descriptions there. Let's look at an actual page here. I really like I use Converse as a great example because we've got a couple of different key features here. Now, the layout of your page doesn't have to be exactly the same, but you do want to include a lot of these, a lot of the features that we've got here. So up at the top, we've got that SEO title, Converse Truck Tailor, All-Star, Core Ox, and then down at the bottom, we've got the content there. So you've got the view the size chart, the original basketball shoe. We've got some content, good organic content there. Show more information. Obviously, there's a bunch of details and a bunch of info that it's got. We've got high quality pictures, high quality video. If you don't have video for your product, you are absolutely missing out. Not only is YouTube the second largest search engine in the world, it's also owned by Google. Let's face it, there's a little bit of cross-contamination going on over there. Videos can rank organically. Videos help the conversion rate of your landing page. Videos help product. So not just high quality pictures, but high quality video as well is incredibly important. We've got our reviews listed up at the top there, right below the product. We've got some trust badges. You see the ships free right under $49.99. And then we've got the 54%, so there's no arch support versus 92% said felt true to the width or true to size. So that just adds a little bit of trust there. Now, if you're like me and you're kind of flat-footed, I don't really worry about arch support, so that's actually probably exactly what I'm looking for. If you've worn Converse before, they don't offer arch support. So, but I want to know that it's going to be true to width. I want to know that it's going to fit the size that I need. I also want to make sure that before I go and add to cart and give my email and things like that, that I'm not going to have to pay for shipping, because consumers don't like paying for shipping. That's just kind of a rule. If you can do free shipping, that's going to be a huge bonus to you. You can use that as a part of your promotion extensions. You can have that as a trust badge on your website, and anything like that is just going to help increase your conversion rate. That click-through rate and conversion rate is really important to getting your organic ranking, or not the organic ranking, the feed ranking, that relevancy score higher with Google. So pay attention to that. Go ahead and move on to the next page of the slide here. We do have a link over to Google specifications for the product data that they need, different things that are required, the format that they require this in. You are able to download kind of example feeds that you can build in if you have to do everything manually. For a lot of customers or a lot of companies, you're able to get some of this information directly from your vendors or suppliers. If you're doing everything custom, then you may have to fill in some of this information yourself. But the more you can fill in, the more detailed you can be with this product feed, the more value you're able to provide, the more information you're able to provide, and Google ranks you higher. All right, let's go ahead and sum things up. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to us, marketing360.com. We want to make sure that you are optimized. You optimize your SEO, the title and the content, whatever's on the page, whatever's in the product. That way, you're specifically focusing on the search terms that people are using. You might use one type of search term. I might use something different. Do some research. Do some optimization. Test different things. Try different things and see what works. Now, you can't make a change one day and expect, can't make the change today and expect it to see the data tomorrow. It's not going to work like that. Again, we're running down a runway here. So you've got to give things time. And I know as a small business owner and as an entrepreneur, patience is not really one of our skill sets. That's not something that a lot of us have. We don't want to be patient people, but I promise you, with digital marketing specifically, patience goes a long way. Make your changes, optimize what you want to do, let it run. If you have a lot of traffic, maybe you only have to run for a week before you know. If you have limited traffic and not a lot going on, maybe you have to give it a month before you can start to really make those decisions. But you can't make decisions based off of 24, 48 hours. That data just doesn't exist. There's just not enough of it. You need the professional product photography. If you've got products where you've got enough room in your margins that if you sold more, you'd be able to pay for this and you just need to increase that, highly recommend that you get a professional product photographer. It's just going to look better for you. And again, that bonus tip is to use product videos. We do both of those here at Marketing 360. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to get you a quote on that. Trust badges on your landing page. Free shipping, satisfaction guaranteed, made in America. Just any of these different trust badges that you can provide. 100% leather, maybe, just anything like that. By providing that kind of information, it could be elsewhere on your site too. Maybe you've got, free shipping up in the header. Put free shipping on your product page too, because that's what people are going to be looking at. Where's my price? My add to cart button. Ooh, free shipping. They're not always going to be looking up in the header of the site and trying to explore and find what that is. and product reviews. And we've found that having product reviews can increase conversion rates up to 400%. So that kind of growth is impressive. The more different types of reviews that you can get, the higher the value. Now, I love to recommend Yotpo. They're not a sponsor, but they are good friends. They connect with a lot of e-commerce sites, and they specifically focus their review platform on e-commerce. I also recommend Top Rated Local, topratedlocal.com. You don't have to use that from e-commerce. It's not product specific, but it is great for generating, tracking, and just kind of keeping a good handle on your online reviews and your reputation across multiple review platforms, kind of at a company level. So Yotpo and Top Rated Local, always love to give them a shout out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, you can reach this presentation later at m360.us/763b. We, of course, have hundreds of other videos at youtube.com/marketing360. And if you're interested in speaking with us so that we can partner with you with your digital marketing, you can always start that process at marketing360.com/start. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and happy marketing.